start the meeting with the public comment, and so far I only have 3 cards, so if you're planning to make comment, please complete the card and bring it up to the table. Anyone who wants to speak, you're going to have 2 minutes to make your comment. And then just so that you know what kind of the ground rules are for this part of our agenda, the council will not comment or take any action on what we hear, but we're taking notes, and it's videotaped, and it will be on the minutes that come after the meeting. So if we want to go ahead and start with the Nancy Zaro. And do you mind if I give your address, or just, you're from the Selby Park neighborhood, Columbia Avenue?
Yeah, ma'am, just go.
Okay, so I've got one piece of paper here. So, hi, I'm Nancy Zaro with 87 Columbia. I've got a personal experience with a close relative that's mentally ill and has been a renter who has seriously affected the neighborhood in which they live in. So I am adamantly opposed to the building of a mental health facility. That may be contrary to what one would think with a relative that's ill, but I have first-hand experience with the downside. The facts are clients and renters are screened, and the intent is for them to be mentally stable, but there's no guarantee of that. Off medication, which is not uncommon. They're not buffered from the neighborhood. Ambulance are called, and it's very disruptive. On medication, the individuals walk the neighborhoods daily, loitering and smoking and making, the 2 other facilities that we're discussing are not in family-oriented neighborhoods. Our neighborhood is residential, invested by homeowners. Over 50 children live there. Traffic pattern includes 2 traffic patterns to Selby Charter and Selby Lane, Petite Baleen Swim School, and a total of 150 homes. I'm talking about the immediate Selby Park. It's too small a facility to absorb all this input. Currently, we consist of a massage parlor on the corner, day workers, which the county has done nothing to little to discourage, on the corner of Waverly and 5th, Samaritan House across the neighborhood, which blasts their music every Saturday and Sunday, Planned Parenthood, which we do welcome, but the pro-life signage we do not, day parking on our neighborhood streets for multiple landscapers, companies whose employees loiter, smoke, leave trash, Caltrain check light overlooking the neighborhood, which never got our approval. That's what our neighborhood has already absorbed. Property was bought by the mental health property was bought by county tax dollars, our tax dollars. No one ran this past our neighborhood first. We are now left to defend ourselves and solve your $1.4 million problem. If this was Menlo Park, Atherton, Palo Alto, or Woodside, this would never have happened. The neighborhood does not want this facility in or at the entrance. I'm talking about the 150 residents in our immediate neighborhood, not the people further around. My house is 500 feet from the main entrance. The neighborhood, in the last 12 years, we've had to defend ourselves from a proposed methadone clinic, medical marijuana
Nancy,
dispensary.
Excuse me, your time is up.
Okay, Tyco and crime, and we are adamantly against it and will not oppose it.
You want some more time, Nancy? You can have mine.
Thank you, Nancy.
Comprehensive, go ahead. I already read 11. It's all right. Go ahead.
I'm good. Okay, but I can assure you that your neighborhood will not support this in our county seat.
Are you sure you don't want to use mics? Okay. All right. All right, thank you. Next, Fernando Chavez.
Hi, thank you. I'm at 90 Dexter in Selby Park as well, and I just want to go on record objecting to the proposed planning for this story addition on the 101 or 105 Fifth Avenue. It's just up the street from our house. As Nancy has already stated, we see a lot of unfortunately, a lot of vagrancy. We have people that walk the street. They're not part of the neighborhood. They urinate on the sidewalk. We have truck drivers sometimes that make deliveries from that pull off of El Camino, pull down to beat the light at El Camino and 5th. They cut through our neighborhood. They decide to pull over and urinate right in the street. This is the type of thing we're trying to fight and warrant against, is just people walking through the neighborhood that don't belong there. We don't know how best to serve the mental health group that plans on putting the apartment complex there, because we feel we're going to add a lot of foot traffic and this type of behavior. Just the other day, I had to call the sheriff's department to ask to come by and ask to remove some people from our very sidewalk because they're trying to make out right on the street. So there's a lot of things that we have to fight against in our neighborhood, and I feel like this is just something that's going to break the camel's back, if you will, as far as the crime rate that's there right now. We had burglaries going on. A lot of people, we try to protect our neighborhood as best we can, and we feel that just having more people wandering around like this is just going to add to the problem. In addition, I'll also reiterate what Nancy said. We've been out to check the other places that the Mental Health Association has. They are not in an immediate neighborhood. They are more or less in a commercial area rather than an actual neighborhood with tree-lined streets, front yards, and homes.
Fernando, your time is up.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, Melissa Platt.
Good evening. Thank you, council members. I'm Melissa Platt. I'm representing the Mental Health Association of San Mateo County. I want to assure you that we really are concerned about creating a good neighborhood, being good neighbors. Our intent is not to create problems in a neighborhood, and we are planning to have a community meeting and working with community groups so that we can have a community meeting and engage in greater dialogue and more conversation about this program during the month of April. We will let everyone know when that meeting is planned. We will let you know, and all the people have been on the mailing list. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Melissa. Let's see, Danielle Reed.
Hi, everybody. I am Danielle Reed, and I reside with my husband and my 18-month-old little girl at 128 Markham in Selby Park. And I've lived in the neighborhood for just a little under 2 years now. My husband and I moved there just when I was pregnant to get away from a neighborhood that was ridden with crime and abuse, looking for a brighter, more safe environment for our growing family. And I fear that if the mental health clinic is going to set up shop in our neighborhood, that the quality of the environment will dramatically decrease, making it unsafe for the many families that live in the neighborhood. I, as a new mother, never want to have a doubt that anything happening in the neighborhood is a result of a new mental health clinic that will be going in the neighborhood. So I strongly am against this happening into my neighborhood, and I fear that, even if the intent of the company coming into the neighborhood is positive, it can quickly go downhill based on the people that are in the clinic. And even with the best of intentions, you can't prevent mental health illness from overriding and making something be dramatically negative for a neighborhood. So I strongly am against it and will do everything that I can to not make it come into my neighborhood.
Thank you. Mike Dobson.
Good evening. My name is Mike Dobson. Sorry about that. I live in the neighborhood on Waverly Avenue, about 2.5, 3 blocks away from the proposed mental health clinic. I oppose it. I've done a little research. I have some training and experience in dealing with people that are mentally ill. And I understand and I can appreciate the efforts that people go to try to get people that need these services. Unfortunately, I don't agree with the location. I looked at some of the other locations, and it's predominantly commercial. And as far as our neighborhood, I believe it is mostly single-family residential. I don't think it's a good fit. My number one concern, of course, is for safety. I'm a father. I have 2 young children and a wife. And my concern is that the individuals that are going to be taking up residence at this proposed facility will not take their meds, or they'll have issues with their medications, and they're not being monitored according to Ms. Platt. I do recall her saying that at our previous meeting. You don't monitor or make sure that they take their medications. So there is a possibility that they may not take their medications. And based on my training and experience, that can lead to disaster. Now, taking that into consideration, if they're in a residential environment, which they are in our location, the potential for something very tragic to occur is high. And I don't believe that the benefit of having this facility in the location outweighs the risk. I think there's probably a more appropriate location, and it's not abutting up to a residential area. Additionally, I sent an email out, I don't know if you received it or not, expressing my position and also articulating several points that I think that will be in violation of the zoning ordinances. I also sent it to the supervisors.
Okay.
So, yeah, all right.
Time is up.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, next is I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right. Ania Slonina? Did I say, okay.
Yeah, good evening. It's Anya Slonina, and
Anya.
not a problem at all. We are probably one of the newest residents in the Selby Park neighborhood. We're at 101 Columbia, and one of the reasons that we chose the neighborhood, and we did look for an incredibly long period of time, was because it is one of the last sort of neighborhoods. It's a true neighborhood with children in the streets, people saying hello to everybody, and any sort of fears of strangers encroaching or being around didn't really, it just wasn't there. It was a really positive feeling. We bought the house in November, and then all of a sudden this pops up out of nowhere, and again, too, and we used to live in Belmont. I grew up in San Francisco. I'm absolutely aware of how these sorts of things happen. But the idea of having a facility of this type, and after hearing at the last meeting that there is not going to be anybody monitoring these patients, and knowing that for somebody in that type of state, not taking their medication can be an extremely devastating circumstance, not just to the neighborhood, but to them personally. And as a result, my husband and I are both absolutely 100% opposed. We believe, too, that because of the lack of monitoring, because of the type of neighborhood with children around, this is the last sort of type of individual or type of resident that would have anything positive to say about the neighborhood. And when it affects an entire neighborhood, we're not just talking about a few people. We are talking about an entire neighborhood, and I thought that that's one of the things that Redwood City stands for, is to keep that sort of family community going. And that's what Selby Park is. So thank you.
Thank you. Valerie Freese?
Hi, I'm Valerie Freese. I too live in Selby Park, 90 Dexter. And like a lot of my neighbors, we were at the meeting before. We heard that it wasn't going to be monitored. And none of us have opposition of, as far as having a facility. It's definitely needed. We understand that. It's that when we say it's a neighborhood, it's 2 blocks by 2 blocks. It is this quaint little bitty nest of a neighborhood. And we've been doing our very best to make it that home country feel. The problem is, there's been so many things trying to butt up against it, it makes it very challenging. We live on an area where, my husband was saying, we're constantly calling the sheriff because we have Johns and Janes stopping and there's no light on the side. And it's like, just to keep that under control, people wandering, when we say wandering, we don't know if, are they casing places or not? And to add one more element of a facility, which though the purpose is great, right up against this tiny little neighborhood adds that much more of a challenge. And because it's a facility where they can leave for 3 days, it's not a treatment center where they're really monitored, we do have that high risk. I am familiar with people who have medications that help them out and they go off it. And unfortunately, it's more the challenge that they tend to go off. You know, it's a constant struggle for people who have these mental illnesses, and we can appreciate it. But the truth is, I'm opposed. Tremendous amount of our neighbors have been talking, you know, we're going to gather together, we're going to sign whatever it takes. We're also a little offended that no one ever brought this up to us. All of a sudden, this property is sold. And you guys have blueprints and plans, and now we're being told. So someone's invested some serious money without ever thinking about presenting it to us. And that kind of gets our little feelers up. Why would someone do that without checking the neighborhood first? Unless they knew there would be an obstacle, so let's get it in. And that's definitely a cause for us to be concerned. If you really felt it was safe and no problems, there would be no need to present this after the fact, after it's purchased. And that's a pretty big investment for a nonprofit who now has to present to see if it can go there.
Valerie, I'm
Oh,
sorry,
no
your time
problem.
is up.
So obviously, I'm opposed.
Thank you. Hector Laura?
Hi, I'm Hector Lora, and I'm going to try to say in English in not my language, but I'm going to try the better I could. I've been living there for about 30 years, and the neighborhood is getting worse and worse. And a thing like this that you guys are planning to set there, it's not going to help us. It's not going to help the neighborhood. We've been fighting this for so many years. And I don't think that this is going to get better. It's getting worse and worse. You should live there about 30 years ago. The neighborhood looks different at that time. But every time it's getting worse. And we am against this that you guys working on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Hector. Any other comments? And it could be about any topic or issue. Is there any other comment? No. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close the public comment part of our agenda. Oh, did you fill out a card?
I'm not representing any of the businesses, around the.
I'm sorry, did you want to make comment?
Yes, please.
Okay. Why don't you go ahead, please, and, give your name, please, and where you live?
So I'm Julien Salanon. I live 160 Markham Avenue.
Okay.
And we have 2 kids. One is 18-month-old, another one, a girl is 5-year-old. And, we chose this neighborhood, because it was very quiet and, there was a sense of community. Whenever, when we bought the house, the neighbors came to see us, they brought pizzas. They told us, you shouldn't park here, at that time of the day with a street clean. Very welcoming neighborhood. And there's also, I wanted to highlight, the fact that, there's 2 daycares, in the neighborhood with, kids that are 2 months old. They walk, on the garden and so on. It's very dangerous. There's also a swimming pool just for kids, at the corner. I don't know, the people that are, launching this kind of project, whether they're just expecting a mistake to happen. I don't get it, really, there's thousands of, other places, to put it, commercial places, but there's no kids, running down the street. Thank you.
Thank you. You know what? Do me a do me a favor, please. Fill the card out anyway, so we can have a record, and then you can turn that into me. Thank you very much.
Very quickly.
I need to get a card filled, please. Oh, come up, please. I thought you were just like.
More just, no, I'm sorry.
Can I have your card?
Oh, I haven't totally filled it out. I'm doing the after the fact.
All
I'm
right, so
sorry.
what is your name and
My
where do
name
you
is
live,
David
please?
Strack, and I live at 170 Markham. And I guess just that the council appreciates the bonding of our neighborhood, that we're all here because of the Selby Park internet, how we communicate, walking around, and that we've bonded together for this, and that you appreciate that our concern of our children and the neighborhood. Just,
Okay.
thank you.
All right, thank you, and if you can leave your card also, okay? So we keep track of everybody's name and, okay. If there are no other public comments, I don't see anyone else. I'm going to go ahead and close the public comment part of our agenda, and we're going to move on to the approval of minutes for February 27th.
I move to approve the minutes for February 27th.
Okay, is there a second?
I second that motion.
Okay, John seconded. Motion and a second. No other changes, discussion. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, minutes carry for February 27th. And Supervisor Slocum is, oh, okay. Irving, you're giving the report tonight? Okay, thank you.
Good evening, Council. Unfortunately, Supervisor Slocum could not be here tonight. I'll be presenting the report on his behalf. On Friday, March 21st, there was actually a bill day for the Friendship Park area. So we had so many volunteers that came out. Special thanks to Shutterfly Foundation for contributing the funds, the Rotary Club of Redwood City, SAL, SFPUC, Collective Roots, Kaboom, the County San Mateo. It was just a great event, a lot of people that went out there to work. Raphael was also out there helping out, so, it was a tremendous effort out there. On Saturday, March 10th, Supervisor Slocum had the chance to work with 35 members of the North Fair Oaks Youth Initiative, along with the Boys and Girls Club of Redwood City and Councilwoman Alicia Aguirre. They did like a scenario in terms of what the Millfield Road corridor was going to look like. So they kind of had like this little scenario where a couple of like the young kids became board of supervisors. They decided whether to change the lanes from 4 lanes to 3 lanes. And so it was a fun-filled event. They actually voted unanimously to change it from 4 lanes to 3 lanes. They were just really involved with the whole process of it. And so they got to learn about what was going on the next several months. And so it was just a fun-filled event. And, the kids got to have that experience of being a supervisor as well. On Tuesday, the Board of Supervisors, Supervisor Slocum presented a proclamation declaring March 29th as Welcome Home Veteran, Vietnamese Veterans Day. And they're actually going to be hosting their first annual Welcome Home Veterans Day Classic Car Show. It's going to be held on Saturday, March 29th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's going to be at the Veterans Memorial Senior Center in Redwood City. This morning, Supervisor Slocum actually attended the grand opening of the Devil's Slide Trail. It's a 1.3-mile patch for hikers, cyclists, horseback riders, and it was open to the public, and it was just a fun-filled event. I got a chance to go out there and just see how it looks like. On Friday, Supervisor Slocum attended the 30th anniversary of the San Mateo County Women's Hall of Fame. Special congratulations to former Justice Sandra Day O'Connor, Dr. Fair McNair Knox, a couple others too, just for inspiring words for there. So they were all, total of 4 were inducted into the San Mateo County Women's Hall of Fame. Supervisor Slocum had the opportunity to introduce Dr. Fay, who is actually executive director of One EPA out there in East Palo Alto, who's done tremendous work out there. The Board of Supervisors on Tuesday held a study session to hear from the public on the issue of secondhand smoking in multifamily units. And as you remembered, County Council a couple months back came to the North Fair Oaks Community Council to present a pre-draft of the ordinance and what that would look like. So there was a study session this past Tuesday to kind of talk more about that. And as of right now, hopefully County Council is going to present like the draft, the ordinance for the North Fair Oaks Community Council to look at it and get some recommendations. So I'll contact the chair to set that up. So hopefully sometime in the near future for the next North Fair Oaks Community Council meeting. And I think last but not least, the San Mateo County Law Enforcement indicted 16 gang members from 3 street gangs in East Palo Alto and Menlo Park. It was actually called Operation Sunny Day. It took 18 months of investigation, but a huge effort goes out to all the various organizations that collaborate and work together to achieve this. And that's about it for the report. So if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Do any council members have any questions? No? Okay, all right. Thank you, Irving.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're on council member reports, and Esperanza Vasquez, one of our council members, wasn't able to be here, but she did leave a copy of her report that she was going to give, so I'm going to give it on her behalf. So this is, the council has 2 committees that have been meeting, and one of them is around illegal dumping. So this SB serves on that committee, so this is on the illegal dumping committee and what they've been doing. The illegal dumping committee has been meeting for the past several months. They have a list of action items that will be included in recommendations that are coming to the council next month, so at the April council meeting. These are just some highlighted, some highlights from the items. Number 1, signs, signage. There needs to be signs to give more of a visual image, such as no dumping, people who dump will be violated or persecuted. So signage is going to be part of the campaign to help educate and bring some awareness around illegal dumping. Cameras and lighting is another issue solution that they're looking at. These cameras that you see put up in the neighborhoods average about $6,000 to $15,000, depending on the type. So that might be part of the recommendation to include streetlights and cameras so that they can catch people who violate the dumping or violate the law. Another thing that they're looking at is the landlord ordinance. The committee's considering an ordinance that's similar to the one that Hayward is adopting. They also have ongoing problems with absentee landlords dumping items out on the street. The city has spent over $400,000 last year cleaning up public right-of-ways near multifamily units. So they're looking at possibly establishing a similar ordinance for North Fair Oaks. And looks like the committee's also talking about the outreach and education. The community cleanup events will be scheduled throughout North Fair Oaks. I don't have a schedule yet. That's a highlight of what they've been working on, so we'll have a more formal recommendation next month. And I don't know if there's any council members here who are working on that committee have anything to add? John?
Linda, I think that's a very comprehensive summary.
Summary, okay, summary only. Okay, so any other council member reports?
Yeah, I'd like to announce that. Check. I'd like to announce that the county and Siena Youth Center, along with other bike enthusiasts, are working on a first North Fair Oaks bike rodeo happening here at the North Fair Oaks Community Center on May 10th. It's going to be from 10 a.m. to around 1 p.m., and we're going to be promoting bike safety in the community. It's the future, so we're really excited about it. A lot of the Siena Youth Center parents are actually going to be volunteering on that day. If the community wants to get involved, please contact me. My information's on the Council NFO Forward website. If you're a bike enthusiast, I have a slot for anyone. So,
Rafael,
please.
can you tell the audience where Siena is located?
Sure. I'm the director of the Siena Youth Center. It's located on Marlborough Avenue in North Fair Oaks, and it's I would like to say it's right behind Target. We're right in that pocket of North Fair Oaks, but we serve youth ages 9 to 22, and we specialize in making sure that we keep them busy. That's how I like to say. We have a lot of activities. So, yeah, pleasure.
Okay, thank you, Rafael. Laura, do you want to give a little highlight on the CSA?
Well, we gave that update last month. I don't think anything's changed
Okay.
since the summary that's included in the minutes.
Okay. And I should say that both committees that have been formed, they're short-term committees. The task was to study the issues. Those committee meetings are also open to the public, and they're held on the Thursday night before this regular meeting, so it was last week. And if you go to the NFO council.org website or the County of San Mateo website, you can make sure you get the scheduled dates for those meetings. But anyway, the two committees that were formed are around CSA 8 funds and also the illegal dumping. So please join us. We're just discussing what the problem is and trying to come up with some ideas to recommend to the Board of Supervisors.
I want to add something. I highly want to
Go ahead.
recommend, too, that you join the NFO Forward website. There's a lot of resources there. I hear that you have a community email list. You can actually get a bulletin if you sign up for the NFO Forward website that keeps you informed on everything that's occurring within this community. We're always into getting people involved, so that's an easy way to get involved from your desktop. So check that out. It's easy to subscribe and unsubscribe. So please take a look at that. NFO Forward.
Okay, any other member reports? No? If not, then we're going to move to the sheriff's report. And I see Lieutenant Reed is not here.
Lieutenant Reed is not here.
Okay.
Good evening. I'm Tom Gallagher. I'm the operations captain for the sheriff's office.
Okay.
So in addition to the North Fair Oaks area, I basically oversee patrol for San Mateo County, including all of our contract cities. Let me give you a normal breakdown of reporting information that Lieutenant Reed gives.
Okay.
And then I'll address a few little topics. I've been tracking a lot of the emails that are shared through the group and concerns that have been going on since the previous meeting. Hopefully I can address some of those. First, let's see, during this reporting period for February, we had 4 burglaries. We responded to 65 suspicious circumstance calls, 83 disturbance calls, and citations. We issued 52 moving violations, 492 parking citations. Total number of arrests for that area would be 8 felony arrests, and 18 misdemeanor arrests. So I believe that's what's normally reported out as far as statistics. Is that correct? Okay. Let's see, a couple of topics that have been on everybody's minds. One are the fireworks that have been taking place in the North Fair Oaks area, and those are obviously not set off by any type of permit. People are asking whether they are legal or illegal type fireworks. So in San Mateo County, unincorporated San Mateo County areas, we do not recognize any type of fireworks. Everything is illegal. There are certain cities within San Mateo County, San Bruno comes to mind, where they allow the Safe and Sane fireworks, but those are not allowed in our area at all. So here's what's going on with that. It's been very difficult to track. And as you know, we do appreciate all the community feedback and calling in on a continuous basis. And for those of you that have attended before or participated in assisting us in checking out similar crimes, it does take some time. Average response time has been under 2 minutes to get out to an area. And as you can imagine, when somebody's just walking around and lighting off one of the fireworks, they could be gone in that short period of time. There's been some discussion about the shot spotter and will the shot spotter recognize fireworks. It does recognize fireworks in the area where the shot spotter covers. I brought a chart up, and if you guys want to take a look at some point tonight, I welcome you to that. The area where the shot spotter covers. The particular area of North Fair Oaks that it does not cover is west of the train tracks, so which also includes 200 Dumbarton, which is the area that we believe the fireworks are primarily being set off in that particular pocket. I'm not going to get into specific details, but if I could ask just to have a little more trust in that we have been investigating it. We have narrowed down certain things of people that are involved. But again, these things take time. And what we want to do is find out who's the person that's supplying, because our information is one person has the cache of fireworks and they're just selling them off to individual people. So rather than picking off one person that set off one firework, we'd rather find out where did these come from and track it back. Some of these types of fireworks, they're definitely commercial fireworks and they're regulated, but we have no reports from anywhere of anybody missing their fireworks. And so they're obviously been brought in from an area outside of where we would get our normal reports of, say, for instance, the amphitheater. If they set off fireworks on a regular basis, they're not missing any fireworks. So if we knew an area that had been missing it, it'd be easier for us to track it. Basically, the community in general, I had an opportunity to speak with a community member, and we were talking about increasing lines of communication. So a couple of ways that we're going to look to do that with the sheriff's office. We have general email addresses to send things to, but for the North Fair Oaks area, we're going to establish an email address that will basically be like NFO concerns, and then it'll go to a certain set of deputies that are assigned to the area, specifically our community policing unit. And that way we'll be able to field what's the complaint, does it involve us, or does it involve a partner that in their health department or planning, building, and so we can quickly resolve that type of issue. And so speaking of contacts and community engagement and dialogue, I wanted to take this opportunity to introduce a couple of our deputies and sergeants from the community policing unit that are responsible for this area. I believe you, for who was ever here last month, Sergeant Todd Fanato is the supervisor.
Right.
He's supervisor of our community policing unit and school resource and our very robust Sheriff's Activities League, so he oversees that. Next to Todd is Deputy Rosemary Blankswade. Rosemary is one of our newest additions to the community policing unit, and she's responsible for the North Fair Oaks areas and specifically handles the schools in the North Fair Oaks area. And then Deputy Javier Acosta. Deputy Acosta has been part of the community policing unit for a couple of years now, also in the North Fair Oaks area. His primary responsibilities are for the CARON program, and then also with our Sheriff's Activities League program. So some of you may or may not have attended a CARON presentation or an academy, but you haven't. If you haven't, I would strongly encourage you to take part in that. So these three will be the primary responders to the email address that we set up. and they'll be able to take a look and field that information. I'll give an example of the apartment building where there was a lot of drug dealing. They would take in that information, they would contact the narcotics unit, and they would be the conduit to make sure that, you know, the activity is being investigated, and then get the information back either to Sergeant Fanato to present or Lieutenant Reed or myself to give an update to the council. At the same time, rather than it just taking a month to get that back, we will give back as much feedback as we can from time to time to whoever responds in, whoever wants to take part in the email address that we're going to establish. So we'll send it up, and then we'll just send out a blanket message, hey, you might be interested in this, you might not. It might be mattresses, an update on mattresses and what we've seen, or might be parking issues and spread the word, we need some assistance on this, or fireworks, and here's what's happening. I think two of the areas that we're really lacking is responding back on communications. We get, what's the issue? Majority of the time, we're able to resolve it, and then we're not reporting back properly that it's been resolved. And I know that gets frustrating. The other thing is just to generally try to get our deputies out on the street a little bit more. We have these little three-wheel carts. A lot of people refer to them as Segways. They're called, called a T3. That's just the brand name. If you saw that movie Mall Cop, I hate to refer to it for recognizing that, but we do have them, and we are going to deploy them down in this area. We usually use them at street festivals. We use them at on the coast side for Pumpkin Festival, things like that. But we're going to try to get them out in the North Fair Oaks area just for a little more high visibility and make contact with people at various times. The last thing is we wanted to look at a little more involvement. We're always willing to help you establish neighborhood watch programs. So I know you guys talked about your neighborhood there, and you know, a lot of times not a lot of times, we basically help establish a neighborhood watch program. Then you're the program unless you need something from us. So we want to make sure that we know all the neighborhood watch programs that are out there, and if they're not formalized, we'd love to help you do that. And I think that's the majority of update that I have. I could take questions or specific questions if I missed anything.
Do you know how many neighborhood watch
that we currently
programs there are right now?
I do not. I personally do not know. Todd, do you know how many we have established?
We have 2 that are well organized and ongoing.
Okay.
What neighborhoods are those?
Well, I think Pat here has one that's ongoing.
The avenues,
Yeah, neighbor to
End to end.
End to end, yeah, neighbor to neighbor.
and then this, yes, the neighbor, thank you.
Thank you, yeah.
So that's one, the largest, and then the Selby.
Oh, Selby Park.
Is another one that we're aware of. And I'm a captain in another unincorporated area, so Javier is a great resource if anyone's interested in starting a neighborhood.
And is the new, did you say you're going to set up a new email?
Yeah.
So it's going to be like what the old hotline used to be?
So
Is that your hope?
the hotline is still in effect.
Oh, the hotline.
And we do check the hotline.
Okay.
But you know, the majority of people that I deal with have been sending things on email, and it seems like it's an easier. You know, you're standing in line at the grocery store, and you can check your email these days and respond back, or you know, you're at work, and all of a sudden it dawns on you, you wish you could have done that. And the nice way with the email is we can shoot it out to everybody in-house and then send it back out to the community as one, rather than fielding the phone call, you know, creating some type of report ourselves, send it out. If you feel you only want to use the phone line, that's fine too.
I don't know if there's any county IT people here, but just to put on the list for the county, it would be great if we could have, if people go on to the nfocouncil.org, for example, website, or the NFO, there's so many now, NFO Forward website, that we have the links so that if they want to go to the sheriff's department, so we don't have to go all over the place, but everything kind of be consolidated, where we have the links where we can go into each other's
Sure, I could definitely recommend that to the supervisor via Irving.
Yeah, that would be an excellent idea.
It'd be a good project for him.
And I just have one more question. The 492 parking violations were for the month of April? I think that's what you said.
This says for the month of February,
February. Oh, okay.
because we're in March.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Excuse me. All right. Were those primarily the street sweeper, the violations people get for not moving their car?
Quite frankly, I'm not sure. It says
Okay.
492 parking citations. But
That's
with
a
that,
lot of
I
parking
will add, not to cut you off, but
probably.
on our website right now, and I took a screen print, and I'll leave this up here as well. You go to our website, right on the center is crime data, and you click on that, and then you can punch in the area that you're looking for, and it'll basically brings up the type of crimes that are in there.
yeah.
Now, this is all relatively new to the sheriff's office. Up until last August, we didn't have anything automated like that, so just bear with it. I filled out an email earlier about something was reported as a larceny, but it's actually a theft, and so we're trying to work out all the kinks in that, but you're getting the basic general information of what's going on there. It does not give specific case information, does not give specific addresses, so it'll give you like, you know, the 100 block of X Street, and here's the information, and
Okay.
and I think the website is SMC Sheriff. Yeah, .com.
Oh, .com.
Yeah, I think we have them all. So it's like org, com, and they basically all go. And there's also a link right from the county's general website.
Does that serve, if I may, does that serve in place of like a plotter, what you would normally report and see in the newspaper?
So it kind I don't know if it replaces anything. This is more set up for citizens to take a look at. We have,
Like my neighborhood, if I want to see what was going on in my neighborhood.
yeah, if you want to punch in that area of your neighborhood, you'll see what's going on. Which I looked at your area and there's not much. Yeah.
Okay. Raphael, you wanted to say something?
Captain, I think that's a great idea, your strategy for engaging the sheriffs with the segways, especially with the new park coming up. Having the presence of a sheriff, being engaging with youth and with young adults in just a wave, and just presence is going to mean a lot. Because I know when the sheriffs come around at Siena Youth Center, the kids get jazzed. So I like that strategy. I think that having them around Friendship Park, especially with how we just opened, would be really, really instrumental into having it succeed for years. So, good strategy.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, ma'am, question?
I'm sorry.
Can I ask him a question?
Yeah, I can't see you. Go ahead. Yeah.
This might be a topic for another day, but along with what you were talking about, there was a few fires at Sims Mill, with very toxic fumes that swept over our neighborhood, very close to us. And I was wishing, it took me the whole day to find out what was happening, and they said to shelter in place because the fumes were so toxic. So then it got me thinking how we need some kind of, like what you were talking about, some kind of way to check in. I called the fire department, I called the police department, and they didn't know until late in the day of what, how to take care of ourselves.
Of other than shelter in place, like when you can leave, or?
Shelter in place, but at first they didn't know earlier in the day. It started during the night when people were sleeping.
Okay. Yeah. I know we did a shelter in place for the fire on Douglas, but
What
not
was
for
the question?
Through the chair, may I repeat the question just so that we can have that
I didn't
heard?
quite hear.
I did hear this question before, so I wanted to just say, yes, and the idea that we're talking about is having some kind of alert system for the community when issues such as the fire at the metal plant, the Sims plant, happen, because there were dangerous and toxic fumes, and people had difficulties finding out about it. I know some people ended up hospitalized as a result. So just in any case of if there is some kind of danger in the neighborhood, I think what the question is about, if I'm correct, Linda, is there some kind of mechanism we could put in place to alert the community?
Sure. We do have a mechanism within the sheriff's jurisdiction. It's called SMC Alert. It's also on the webpage that you can sign up for SMC Alert, and it'll go to your cell phones, your home phones. I know for the sheriff's jurisdiction, we did put out shelter in place for again, the fire that was at Douglas and Bay. The other fire, I believe, is Redwood City's jurisdiction. I'm not sure what they did as far as shelter in place, but I'm pretty sure they did a shelter in place. And the only glitch that we've had recently on that, knock on wood, was our on the coast side. We did a broadcast, and unfortunately, it came out in Spanish first, and then it was logged that it went out in both Spanish and English, so it was frustrating for non-Spanish speakers. But we've addressed the way that it gets sent out, that it always goes in both Spanish and English. And I'm relatively sure, and Sergeant Fanato might know better, he's participated in these types of alerts, that we send out another that the details completed or an area to check of where you would, like visit our website, and it'll tell you when it's safe to come out and things like that.
But how does it get communicated to the community? I
So
guess?
you sign up. We do two methods. One is reverse phone. Again, in this technology, the majority of the people are now moving away from home phones, so we don't have reverse numbers for everybody. If you don't have a phone in your house, we can't do a reverse call. But if you sign in on this program, SMC Alert, and you choose your mechanism for how you want to be notified, it notifies you. And then it gives you updates. Now, you can sign up for any parts of the county that, and with different cities have participate in SMC Alert. A recent one that comes out quite often in San Carlos right now is mountain lion sightings. So you'll get, boom, a ping, and it'll say, yesterday it was a mountain lion sighting in the 100 block of Melody Drive, and you know about it, and that's pretty much it. And if there's additional information that's going to help you, then that'll be attached to the alert. So SMC Alert, it's very quick to punch in. You can, I know you can list multiple ways of being contacted. I just don't know if there's a limit. When you log in, and you might have to create a second sheet.
Yeah, actually, the council has asked Supervisor Slocum's office to do a formal report on this, because it's not only it involves public health, it involves environmental health, it involves the sheriff's department, so different departments. So we want to kind of bring in all the departments that would work on that kind of issue, the shelter piece, and let's present something back to the community in more of a package, so that, and what's being done with the companies that are creating this problem. So there's many pieces to this problem. So I believe we're going to actually formalize it for the next month, but that will most likely be on the agenda for next month, so we can get a really comprehensive answer to the questions. Yes. Is your question for us?
There's another website that's absolutely fantastic. It's called firedispatch.com. And they deal with fire. We found out about the Sims fire almost as soon as it started from that website.
Okay, thank you, Janet. Thank you. Any other questions? Was everyone able to hear what Janet had said? That there is another website called firedispatch.com. So that's another way to get information on these type of problems. Okay.
Thank you for the resource.
And do you have any other comments for the sheriff? No? Well, thank you very much.
Okay, I was just going to throw out there real quick, I don't know the date. It's at the beginning of the San Mateo County Fair, but it's Disaster Preparedness Day, and that's a great place to sign up for SMC Alert, learn more about it, and just general protection. So I want to say, I don't want to put Irving on the spot, but I want to say it's like August, but just to take a look, it's on the county website already, I saw it, and it's just something to kind of, keep in mind. And I believe there's a free, you get into the fair free for a first few hundred people, so check it out, a lot of good stuff there.
Okay.
All right,
great.
so I'll be here to have people take a look at this, and if I can explain anything, I'll be here for the
Okay,
evening.
great. Thank you
Okay?
very much.
All right,
Thank
thanks.
you. Okay, so now we have the Highway Patrol, Captain Maskarich?
Good evening. Good evening, members of the North Fair Oaks community, members of the council. My name is Mike Maskarich. I'm an area commander with CHP. I oversee Alameda, or a portion of Alameda County, Santa Clara, and San Mateo County. So it's a big area, but the North Fair Oaks community is a very important community that we serve within that. So I want to update you on a very robust traffic safety program that we have in place. We break it down into three parts. We have an enforcement component, an education component, and an engineering component. So with the enforcement side, not only do we have CHP exclusive enforcement, but we work collaboratively with members of the Sheriff's Department, as well as members throughout San Mateo County through a program called Specialized Traffic Enforcement, or STEP program, in which you may see officers coming from Broadmoor, Colma, San Mateo, into the North Fair Oaks community. We rotate throughout the county. So on any given day, we could be at anywhere within the county. It's a large group of officers that come in to identify specific traffic issues and take the appropriate enforcement action, whether it's citation, verbal warnings. And we found that to be a very effective utilization of resources, and allows us to really multiply our efforts in getting down and really addressing traffic safety concerns within the various communities within San Mateo County. We also have a very strong public affairs component within the Highway Patrol. We reach out to schools, businesses. The North Fair Oaks community, as I said, is an extremely important part of that. Garfield School is one of the schools that we partner with. We have our senior volunteers. If you happen to see in the morning or during the afternoon commutes, or if you're dropping off children, you'll see folks that are wearing white shirts, blue ties. They have CHP patches. They're not officers, but they're members of our volunteer group, and they're very engaged in assisting the students, staff, and parents who are coming to pick up their children to ensure we have a high level of safety in that regard. And then from an engineering component, we work very closely with our public works partners to identify any specific traffic safety concerns that you might have, whether it's issues with crosswalks, lighting, roadway striping, roadway configurations. I can't guarantee, I mean, the CHP doesn't control, obviously, changing roadways. However, we can work with our partners, we can make recommendations, and oftentimes we can help field that information to the appropriate persons to try to get these concerns addressed as expeditiously as possible. And then we also work with private groups. There's a group, a Silicon Valley Bike Coalition, a roadway safety solutions team that the CHP partners with, along with the Sheriff's Office, again, to bring a certain perspective and focus on addressing bike safety within the community and throughout San Mateo County. Our efforts here year to date have seemingly had some very strong effects. We've appreciably reduced our accident picture here in the North Fair Oaks community. We've also reduced the number of drunk driving collisions. Last year at this time, we had 5. Now we're down to 2. I'd like to say we could get to a point where we have none, but we're working in that direction. And we're finding that the efforts and the collaboration of the various law enforcement entities and public safety entities in general are having a very strong impact in that regard. One thing I would ask all members of the community, we want to be very responsive to your quality of life needs, those particularly involving a traffic safety nexus. So you can reach out to the CHP at any time, and I know some of the members of the community, I'm looking around, I see a few familiar faces. You can email me 24/7 if you have a concern. Somebody got a hold of me over the weekend about the explosions that were being reported. We're not obviously the primary entity investigating that, but we are working collaboratively with the Sheriff's Department and making sure when our officers are out there, if they do come upon that information, that we're getting it to the appropriate people, and in a sense taking the appropriate action as well as when we see that. So it's very important for us to be able to work closely with all members of the North Fair Oaks community, and don't hesitate to call us. If it's, if you think it's an emergency, it's an emergency. Don't hesitate to get on your phone, dial 911. Our dispatchers aren't going to just push you off. They're going to take that information, be able to get it to our patrol units and get them out in the field and have a very quick response to the concerns that you're bringing forward. So with that, I'd like to open up any questions that any members of the community or the council may have. Yes, sir.
You said we can send you an email. How do we communicate with
Let me give you my card here. I'll leave as many as I have. I'll leave them on the table here. So feel free to take them, and again, 24/7. Don't worry about it being too late. It goes to my BlackBerry, and my wife's pretty used to it after 27 years. I can't say, though, we have Segways. We thought about using them on 280. We wouldn't get very far. And then one last thing, I do want to reach out with my public affairs unit to council member Avendano. I want to make sure that if you would like us to assist with your bike safety event, that we can have folks out there and try to make that event as successful for you as possible, and to have a very strong safety component with that. So again, thank you. It's a pleasure and a privilege for me to be able to be here in this community. I live close by. I grew up in the area. This is a very, very great place to live and work, and we just want to ensure that it continues to stay that way for all of you. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, North Fair Oaks Forward Report. Pat Brown is going to present.
Good evening, members of the council. I'm here standing in for Peggy Jensen this evening, who's on a well-deserved vacation this week. And I have with me members of the North Fair Oaks Forward Outreach Team. I have Ashley Quintana, Ellie Dahlman, and Lilia Ledesma. We've provided you with a written report of the activities that have been going on. This is a very active team. For those who may not be familiar with North Fair Oaks Forward, our work is to help the community become informed about and involved with the implementation of the North Fair Oaks Community Plan and related projects that are being designed for the improvement and the quality of life in North Fair Oaks. And we're very happy about some of the plans that are coming down the line and some things that have already happened. And I'd like to ask members of my team to just briefly highlight pieces of the report that you've been given. There are copies on the back table for members of the audience if they'd like that. And then if you have any questions, we're here to respond to them. So first, I'd like Ashley to come up.
Good evening. So I'll make this very short and sweet as you have all the information with you. But since last council meeting, we have finalized our Spanish and English version. And we've gone down Middlefield Road and spoken to business owners and community members to fill it out. Our extensive outreach includes going to the Boys and Girls Club, Sienna Center, the Family Connections, Sequoia Adult School, and we also went to the Friendship Build Day. And also we have located or replaced drop boxes in the Chavez Supermarket on Middlefield Road, here in the Community Center, Fair Oaks Library, which is right next to us, and also the Health Center. And additionally, to our paper survey, as we've mentioned, nfoforward.org, you can access our survey there. And I would highly encourage those who have not completed the survey to please go, share your opinions, suggestions. This is the time to say what you want to see Middlefield Road as. If you don't know exactly what I'm talking about, that's a great place to go and, see what our vision is and what the changes could happen. Currently, we have collected 835 surveys, but we have a few to go left. So please help us reach that goal. And in addition to our surveys, we are prepping to preliminary small meetings with business owners, including auto body shops and other business owners and property owners. So that will happen in the next month. And today, I will be modeling our T-shirt that we normally wear when we go to do outreach. And we've talked to auto body shop owners and invited them to come to our preliminary meeting with Supervisor Slocum and Sheriff Monks. So my coworker will talk about our main community.
Thank you, Ashley.
Updates.
All right, good evening, council, and good evening, North Fair Oaks community. So all of the outreach that we've been working on this past month and this upcoming month in April leads up to two big community update meetings. The first will be held on Saturday, April 26th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at Garfield School. And the second will be held on April 29th on Tuesday evening from 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. And we encourage residents to fill out surveys. You'll be entered into a drawing for an iPad mini and some other prizes as an incentive to attend either of the two update meetings. We've also ordered banners and signs. We'll be working with PG&E and Public Works to get a big sign put up over Middlefield Road. And we also have been actively using social media. So if any of you who have Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, you can follow us at NFO Forward.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, council members and members of the community. My name is Lilia Ledesma, and what I actually want to update the community of North Fair Oaks this evening. Irving Torres already touched a little bit on Friendship Park. This project was
Should we turn the light? Can we turn the lights off?
great collaboration. This is how the site was on the morning of March 21st. And this project has been a great collaboration between the County of San Mateo, County Parks, under the initiative of North Fair Oaks Forward. As you know, one of the biggest components of North Fair Oaks Forward is the implementation of North Fair Oaks Community Plan that calls for more parks in North Fair Oaks. And this was a perfect project to become a reality through a partnership with San Mateo County Parks, the Office of Supervisors Locum, the Sheriff's Office through Sheriff's Activities League, and the Rotary Club of Redwood City, which is dear to my heart because I'm a former president of that club, and Collective Roots. You will see in some of the photos. So that day we had 250 volunteers coming to work. None of us knew anything about construction except former council member Manuel Ramirez, who was there also from 6 in the morning all the way to 3 in the afternoon. But somehow the magic through Kaboom, who gave us the grant, utilizing the funding given from Shutterfly Foundation, a company based in Redwood City. And so that day, 250 people came together, and we almost finished the park. We are now partnering with Rebuild Together to complete it. We're looking into April 26th. It's not formal yet, but we are looking into that to have the park completed. We will be posting all these photos. This is a mountain of mulch that was spread and used on the playground. The components of the park, it's a brand new playground and 32 planting beds that form the community garden. And those planting beds will be managed by Collective Roots, and they will be allocated to families around the neighborhood so they can plant and have access to healthy food. Collective Roots will also be giving health and nutrition classes and what to plant and when and how to mix food to make it healthy. And if you have any questions, you can ask. No questions? So we will be keeping, yes?
Where is the exact location?
Great question. I'm sorry I missed that part. It is it goes from block to block. It's between Huntington and Curtis, and then Berkshire and Dumbarton in North Fair Oaks. It's on the east side of El Camino and the train tracks. Does it make sense?
So if you know where the new Fair Oaks, where the clinic is, past the tracks? Yeah.
It's
so
very close by.
Yeah,
Yes.
behind, that's the neighborhood behind, on the other side of the clinic.
Yes. And you will see all these photos on nfoforward.org website. We will make sure to have them. Thank you.
It's worth a visit if you have a chance. Members of the council, did you have any questions about the report? Or
No, but I just wanted to mention that Ellie and Ashley are going to be holding meetings with the merchants and such. But if any neighborhoods want to organize a meeting, they're available to come out and speak to you about the survey and what's going on. Is that?
And just to make it really
just to
clear,
have little, small little neighborhood meetings.
the focus of these conversations is the impending changes to Middlefield Road between Pacific and Fifth. And so there are some options that are being considered for that, and we're working very hard to make sure that the community has as much information and input as they can have during this period.
And Pat, can you just clarify that the survey is specifically?
The survey relates specifically to the design of Middlefield Road and to some parking options related to the designs.
Right.
Okay? We really strongly encourage you to take a look at that, to fill it out if you have the time to do that. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Thank you very much, Pat. Thank you, team. Okay. So, let's see, is Connie Guerrero here to do the okay. We're going to have a presentation on the Woodside Road 101 Interchange Improvement Project. Oh, we're doing good on time. Yeah. Yeah.
Good evening, council members and community members. My name is Connie Guerrero. I am part of the public outreach and community engagement team for the Woodside Road 101 Interchange Improvement Project. And Eileen Goodwin, who's here, is the lead for public outreach. And we do have a presentation for you tonight. And we'll go ahead and start with Paul Krupka, who is the project manager, and he will go ahead and present the rest of the team and give us the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, he's going to need that. That's great. Good evening, members of the council, members of the community. My name is Paul Krupka. I am the project manager for the City of Redwood City on the 101 Woodside Road Interchange project. We're in a project engineering and environmental phase. I'd like to just take a moment to invite you to our first community open house meeting, which is Monday night at the Downtown Library Community Room, 6:30 to 8. There'll be some presentations. We're in the early stages of the project. Our project manager will give you an overview of the project. And I'd like to also offer that I believe the council has information. There is a website. The city has a web page on this project. We'll be loading more information as we go. If you have any questions or concerns, my name is on the flyer that you have. It's on the fact sheet that you have. Please give me a call or an email, and we'll respond. I also wanted to introduce Jessica Manzi. She's with the city. She's in the transportation department, and I report to her on this project. And then at this point, I'd like to introduce Scott Kelsey, the project manager for URS. URS is the prime consultant doing the current phase of work, and he'll give you a brief overview, and then we'll have some time for some questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Paul, and welcome council members and community members. I want to talk to you about this awesome project that we have, the 10184 Woodside project. I know probably a lot of you travel through that, and I know I feel your pain. I've been through it myself, and it's something that's really is needed. It's been needed for a long time. In fact, there have been some plans, possible plans put together for the past couple of decades. It's something that has wanted to happen for a long time, and it's about time we do something about it. And so I'm really looking for, I'm here to talk to you about this and to get your valuable input, because at this stage in the game, we're in the early phases, as Paul mentioned, and we know a lot about the project, but we don't know everything about the project. And we're out here to number one, to get your valuable input, and number two, to gain your support as well as we move forward on this project. So the things I want to talk about include, next slide.
It's not me, I promise.
All right, as we're figuring it out, so there's 4 things that I want to talk about. Is just the overview, talk about community outreach and our efforts, mention the community open house that's coming up that Paul already mentioned, then get your questions and comments. So and the next one is basically the project area map. That'll be coming up right here. So it's a little bit hard to see on this. I know but I know most of you are familiar with the area. It's existing 101 and 84, and it's mainly a state facility. It's kind of a local interchange in that we have Seaport Boulevard that heads to the east, but most of it is 101 and 84 Woodside Road that's under state jurisdiction. So we're going to be working with the state a lot, but with community members and the city as well. It's a very well-developed area. As you know, it's going to be tough to replace this interchange, but we've got some ideas. There's hospitals, commercial, residential, industrial, public facilities. There's major utilities in the area, including the PG&E high voltage lines that are over there. Pump stations. There are a couple of storm drain pump stations that we know about. The Union Pacific Railroad, the spur line that goes over to the port. There's also some other areas that are under construction right now. There's one marina that's off in this area right here. There's also the correctional center that's under construction here, and I know there's also a 24-hour fitness that just started up as well. So anyway, just want to one of the other things with this project is we're looking to gain a certain status, and that's having it as a gateway project. And if we can earn that status, we actually get enhancements through aesthetics and landscaping and just making it look that much better. So we're looking for that as well. So the purpose and need, that's an important element as you're going through the environmental process and identifying the project. So the purpose of the project is to basically alleviate traffic congestion in the area. We would be designing it to whenever it's constructed plus 20 years. So we're looking at projecting the traffic volumes for the year 2035 or 2040, and then we design it to those traffic volumes so that it'll be working very well, not only when it's constructed, but for a long time in the future. We're also looking to provide traffic improvements near the interchange, enhance mobility. That's the one big thing, and it's not just the vehicles, it's not just the trucks, not just getting them through, it's for everybody. It's called Complete Streets. We design it for pedestrians, we design it for bicyclists, we design it for mass transit, for everybody to be able to get through the interchange safely. And safely is another thing, enhancing public safety. That's another purpose of the project. And also to improve the traffic operations at key intersections that are listed here. Seaport Blomquist, Woodside Road Veterans, Woodside Broadway, and Woodside Bay. So we're looking at improving those intersections as well. Next slide. So the roles, what are the roles of this project? So the first thing I have to mention is, again, Caltrans is the lead agency with this project, as they are primarily the owner of the facility of the interchange. The city plays a key role in that they are involved in public involvement and will provide input in screening and selecting the alternatives that were coming up as the preferred alternative. And then, of course, the community. You, the community members, are encouraged to provide your input. We're all working together here. And next, I have a little graphic that kind of shows how this all works, and it'll come up in a minute. It's going slow. That's okay. That's all right. I had a graphic, and it basically just shows everybody working together, including Caltrans, the city, San Mateo County Transportation Authority that administers the half-cent sales tax. That'll be partially funding this, and all working together as a team to come up with the best project that we can. And then we've got to pass it on to Caltrans through their procedures. So that's kind of how the whole thing goes. So here's the schedule, and I know it's probably a little hard to read, but just in general, there's two parts to it. There's the top schedule, and that's the whole overall project. Basically, the project has been going on. They've looked at some different studies. This is going from actually 06 in the beginning all the way through to 2022. The project study, there was a project study report that was completed in June 06. There was also an alternatives analysis that was completed in October 2011. And then the green bar at the top, that's where we're at now. It's basically a 2-year process to come up with a preferred alternative, look at all the alternatives, come up with a preferred alternative, and gain approval and gain environmental clearance for the project. Then after that will come design, right-of-way acquisition if that's needed, and then construction. We anticipate there being a 3-year construction window for this, for replacing the interchange. Then the green bar at the top is basically broken down. That's the phase that we're at now. It's called the project approval and environmental document phase. And I'll just kind of go through, again, a 2-year schedule basically. We're in the first bar there called the alternatives investigation. We're looking at alternatives now. We're looking for your input to come up with the best alternatives. Then we screen those alternatives as the next thing. We do traffic studies and other environmental studies. And then we incorporate all those, looking at alternatives, coming up with one or a couple of preferred alternatives that'll get it into a draft environmental document. Once it's incorporated into the environmental document, that'll go out for public circulation, and that's planned for the beginning of next year. So all this year, we'll be working on the technical studies and coming up with the preferred alternatives, and then going through public circulation early of 2015. Then once we have everybody's official comments, we incorporate those into a final environmental document that takes almost a year, and then we get project approval toward about the end of 2015. So that's basically it. Now I want to talk to you a little bit about community outreach.
Adding suspense, sorry.
That's okay.
You know, clicking away.
So I'll just mention some of the community outreach goals okay. So some of the community outreach goals are to, of course, gather information from the community and the stakeholders, build project consensus. That's very important to have your support, to gain your support, to come up with the best project we can, gain your support as we move it forward. And then develop partnerships for future funding. And the reason this is so important is, there's not a whole lot of money out there. And the project is funded, but not through construction. There's no construction dollars really identified right now. And so basically, we come up with the best alternative we can, and then we look for that funding. And the more support we have on the project, the easier it is to fund. So it's very important. It's going to be very important for all your help and support as we move this project forward into construction. And then, the next thing that'll come up is a graphic, basically, that shows the community outreach. And we came up with this, I like to think of it as a clever idea of, we've got a lot of hurdles to jump over on this project. And, oh no, darn it, there's one more, sorry.
Okay.
One more.
We'll go to the next one. Is that okay?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Stay with the equestrian theme there.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. We have an equestrian theme, and we have horse hurdles, basically, and we're on a horse that's going to be jumping over all these different hurdles. And so as we reach these different milestones, we are working with a lot of agencies and the community and everything, and this project has been on the books for, like I mentioned, a couple of decades, and we're going to make it happen this time, but we have certain key hurdles to jump over. So this is the community outreach schedule. It basically lasts the PA and ED phase, project approval and environmental document phase, for 2 years. The top bar is basically the top purple bar is throughout the life of the project. We've just developed a website. We also have developed fact sheets that you'll have that's also on the website. We also are going to be having a hotline for any questions that you may have to be able to call, and that should be on the website as well. And outreach support. So that's the top bar. We're also going to be having, there's also a smaller bar right here that's basically a web survey that we're developing now and to get out to gain your valuable input as well. And then there's the community meetings, basically. The first one, which is the small blue bars, is council study sessions. That's meeting with the council and giving them the updates of where we're at on the project and also to get their valuable input. We already had one that was at the end of January. The second group of hurdles that we have is right next to the horse is the community meetings. And our first one is on Monday. So looking forward to hoping to get a big turnout there and to get your input there, to share a lot of more information about the project. The third set of bars is the community stakeholder meetings. And that's four sets of those, and that's where we're at now. We've actually had about 5 other community stakeholder meetings already. This is another one, and just reaching out to the community and trying to get input and share information about the project. And then the last one at the bottom are the environmental meetings that we have, that we're required to have. One is an environmental scoping meeting. That's the first one. That's right after we have all the alternatives developed. We share that information in another setting and to gain input. And that's as we're developing the draft environmental document. So we gather that input and put it into the draft environmental document, do a public circulation, and that's the second meeting, is actually the public meeting after the draft environmental document is out for circulation for everybody to review. We have a meeting early on that's process. It's like a 45-day process that we have, and early on, about 20 or so days into that, we had this meeting so that people have a chance to read the draft environmental document, to have a chance to interact and answer questions that the community may have, and to gain your comments, the comments on the draft environmental document, so that we can incorporate those and come up with a final environmental document. So, and then lastly is the finish line about December of 2015. Again, the community open house that Paul mentioned, Monday, March 31st. We're going to have presentations on the half hour, so you could come anytime during this time. There's going to be like repeats, 3 repeats of a half hour each, where we'll do a short presentation. We'll have 5 different workstations around this meeting room, so that you can interact with different folks there and provide input and ask questions and things. And then so that'll be throughout the evening, basically. So you're encouraged to drop in at any time that's convenient to you, and look forward to seeing you there. So again, the Downtown Library Community Room. And with that, I'd like to open it up to questions or comments. Yes?
Time-wise, how is this going to drive with the Stanford plans to build their huge medical campus? Sounds like it's going to be a horrific mess.
So I think that's going to occur well before this would come under construction. Is that right? I'm not that familiar with the Stanford.
They want to get some feedback from Jessica on what can you give us give the group a quick overview of the phased approach to development of the Stanford in Redwood City project? This is Jessica Manzi from Transportation, City of Redwood City.
So the Stanford project has received its planning entitlements at this stage. We haven't actually gotten an application yet for a specific project of what they're going to build. We're expecting that to happen in the next few months. But the full build-out of their project is expected to happen over a 20-year time frame. So, at this point, all of the planning for this project will take into account the growth of the Stanford project. In terms of any conflicts between construction between the two projects, that's something that we have to plan for as we're looking at building out this project. But, they could be under construction at the same time. Stanford could have completed the first part of their project, and then we're building, and then they're building more after. We don't know exactly yet, but as we get into the project farther, we'll make sure that we coordinate as much as we can. Does that give you some information?
Laura, you have a question?
Oh, I wasn't totally clear on the projected date for completion, but it sounded like it might not be in our lifetime. So I'm just kind of curious, when you do the outreach to the community, it's as though you're really planning now, but you're talking about a different generation who will actually be experiencing and enjoying the fruits of this labor. So and also the inflation, I mean, the costs. How do you manage something that's that far in the future and think about it, with people that aren't even going to be around necessarily?
It does happen. It can happen. It just happened. We just completed a project just up the street, the 101 Broadway interchange reconstruction project in the city of Burlingame. We were, I remember 5 years ago, we were at that phase, just beginning, just like we are at this phase now, and we got through it. The project is designed, it's out for bid, and construction is going to start this year. So I know it's, let's see, I think we were thinking 2021 is when this would the construction would get completed. Okay, that does assume, there is a big assumption there, that we get the funding for the construction and the right-of-way.
And that would only be up to Bay Road, correct? Bay and Woodside?
Correct, yes.
Because the main hub interchange coming into North Fair Oaks is Woodside and Middlefield Road. So maybe in another 30 years. I mean, that's, there's different ways to get into the community, but that's the main hub. And I was actually surprised the project's not bringing it all the way down to Woodside and Middlefield.
Yes, I know. There have been, there was a project to actually widen Woodside, and this was before the downturn in the economy, and that would be another project. That would be totally another project. But I think with this project, this is mainly just concentrating on the interchange itself. We have to take it one step at a time. And I think this is going to be a really good project, basically a seed for more growth, a seed for more improvements. Once we can get the interchange completed, there's going to be that want to take it further. This part will be, it'll be a difficult project to construct while maintaining traffic. But that's one of the key things, is making sure that traffic is maintained as we're reconstructing this project. And once that's done, who knows? Who knows? But again, the schedule is based on construction fundability. And gaining that funding, and again, it's so important to gain your support on this project, so that when we have project approval and environmental document, and when we have the design complete, or getting close to the design complete, that we have your support, that we have the best project that we can, and as we move forward, it just becomes that much easier to get the funding when you have so much community support.
Yes, there's a question in the back there.
Yes.
I was wondering, is Stanford going to be a supportive partner in planning this out, or providing their input?
So the question is, would Stanford be a supporter of this project? I can't see them not being a supporter of this project. They're going to need their patients to come to this facility, and through this facility. Through the Woodside, 10184 Woodside interchange. And I feel very confident that they will be a supporter. I mean, that remains to be seen. But
also one of the stakeholders that we'll be meeting with.
That's right. That's right. So we will be talking to them about this project, gaining their input, and hoping they become an advocate of it. Yes.
Okay. Any other questions?
I'm a supporter of the project.
Okay, well, I think that's it, and yeah, I know that if people go onto the e-news, they can get all the information. That's how I met you. Yeah.
That's right.
So if they want to show up at the Redwood City Library on Monday, the 31st, they can get some more information. Thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank you, council members.
Moving right along. Okay. Pat, are you presenting something on design selection? What is this? Your name is on here.
Number 10. We had
something about a retractable banner?
We were hoping to have tonight some options for you to select retractable banners for the North Fair Oaks Council. The North Fair Oaks Forward is going to be purchasing these retractable signs for you for use at your meetings, but we don't have the designs
Oh,
yet.
you mean to put outside
To
the...
put behind you, inside.
Got it. Oh, okay.
Similar to what you have outside.
Okay.
But
Oh.
we're looking to have at least 2 options for you to select from.
Okay.
So as soon as we have them, we'll bring
All
them
right.
back.
Okay, thank you. And, yeah, also, we have the recommendation regarding the off-street parking exception application for property at 819 8th Avenue. And Tiari Pena is here from Planning Department. So we should have all, council members, you all have your packet from Planning? Okay. You didn't get anything. Okay, it's right there. Hi there.
Hi, good evening. Tiari Pena with San Mateo County Planning. So the project before the council today is a recommendation to the Planning Department for a requested off-street parking exception to allow, whereas the regulations require 2 covered parking because of the percentage of addition in this single-family residence. It's over 50%. It requires 2 covered parking, but our covered parking regulations require them to be side by side. In this case, the applicant is proposing to do the addition towards the back portion of the property and extend the existing 1-car garage to accommodate 2 covered parking, but in tandem style. So that requires an off-street parking exception to do that. The other thing, I did pull the parking study that was done in North Fair Oaks to see what kind of parking is already in the area. And it's, although this portion of 8th Avenue is not necessarily in the study area, it appears as if it would be a less impacted street, and I have copies for you to look at if you'd like to see.
I'm sorry, can you remind me, the regulation says that they have to be next to each other, but
Side by
cannot
side,
be
covered.
front and back?
Front and back is tandem, and that is not our parking regulations
Side by
to
side
allow for 2 covered parking. It needs to be 18 by 19 dimensions, side by side. So in this case, they've applied for an off-street parking tandem. Instead of putting just 1 car, they're going to accommodate 2 cars within an enclosed garage.
Yeah, okay.
And the council normally sees parking exceptions in some cases. In some cases, you wouldn't see them. In this particular case, you are seeing it because of 50% valuation of construction. So there's some, while you would see an off-street parking exception is if they're going beyond 3 bedrooms. In this case, they're going from a 2-bedroom to a 3-bedroom, so you wouldn't see it for that. You would see it if it's going over 1,500 square feet, and in this case it is, because it looks like it's going to be about 1,800 square feet for the structure. And the other reason you would see it is if it triggered 50%, and it does. Because it's a 900 square foot house. At this time, they're adding 800 square feet. So that's obviously more than 50%. The other reason you would see it would be as we send out notification to the neighbors. If anyone had an issue with that, you would see it then as well.
Okay, and was there any response?
No.
No.
What is the lot size, the dimensions?
I think it's 5450. I can't really see because I've given you all my big
5450
sets.
at the dimensions. I'm looking for the width.
My eyes aren't so good enough to look at the reduction. So that's the lot size itself.
108.
It's a 5450 square foot parcel. Existing is a 900 square foot.
But the width, do you know?
Oh, the width of the parcel?
30 feet, 30
It should be 30 by,
Okay.
it's 50 by 109.
Oh, okay. So it's a normal size.
Yeah, it's a bigger size than normal, actually 5,000 is the minimum.
So, and the
most-
problem why they can't have a regular garage with
No,
a two-story?
They're not really changing the front of the house. What they're doing is extending towards the rear. And instead of making more living space, they're accommodating another parking space.
Okay, okay. And remind us, please, about the notification process.
The notification process is 300, a radius of 300 feet around that particular site.
Okay.
That notice goes out 10 days prior to this meeting.
Okay, and you got no response?
None.
Okay.
And you said you checked out the parking in the area?
There's a parking study, I've sent it around to you.
right.
And that's done at 7 PM. As you know, that there's a current parking study going on in North Fair Oaks, and this is, what I've highlighted in pink is that portion of 8th Avenue, which falls out of the study area, but it shows that across, on the other side, it's at 0 to 50%. For 12 hours when they did the studies. So I don't know the exact numbers on the other side, but it doesn't look like it's much more than what 8th Avenue that's been studied has
Is
already.
that noticed in English and Spanish?
No, just in English.
Is it a residential area or?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah. Is that your street, Dale?
He's on 9th.
Oh, 9th.
I know
But it's on the other
Dale for a long
side.
time.
It's on the
It's on the other side, though.
yeah.
So what do you all think? Any comments?
My only comment is just that we have such parking problems in the entire area, and I know what you're saying is that particular block is currently not showing any.
Yes, and and remember, they're actually adding parking within a building. They're not asking for an off-street parking off the site. They're asking for tandem instead of side-by-side.
Right.
Right.
Okay. Any questions or no? Can I entertain a motion to accept the recommendation?
I'll motion that we support the parking exception at 819 8th Avenue.
Okay. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Any further discussion? No. Okay. All those in favor of supporting the recommendation, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you, Tiara. And I think that is the end of it. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Oh, did you want to mention about our retreat?
Oh, okay.
It's not
Okay. Okay, a little announcement. The North Fair Oaks Council is having a potluck at Laura's house, and you can give your address, Laura. And we need to let the public know that we're doing this. We will not be, it will not be a meeting. We will not be making any decisions or actions. We just want to get together and have a nice potluck. We haven't done that. We were going to do it earlier in the year, but we're already at the end of March. So that's what's going to happen on, what's the date? March 30th from 11 to 2. And that will be at Councilwoman Laura Kaplan's house. And I don't know your address, Laura?
630 San Benito.
630 San Benito.
Yes.
Okay.
So we've traditionally done this every year called
And
a
I don't know what
retreat.
everyone's going to make, but I'm sure we'll
But it's
make
not,
something good.
so the public members are welcome as long as they RSVP, would be great.
Okay.
But it's not any council business that will be discussed there, so.
Right.
Thank you.
So if I could have any other announcements or anything? No? Okay. If I could have a motion to adjourn?
I'll motion we adjourn.
Okay, and a second to the motion, please.
I second it.
Okay, meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us tonight.